Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Shouting into the Void with myself, Connor, and next to me is Liam. He's somewhere around here. I realized I hadn't said who we were for the past few episodes. I figured I'd better get that out of the gate straight away. This is the weekly video series where the two of us go through episodes of Doctor Who, specifically the revived series from 2005 onwards. We've gone through series 1 with Chris Ferguson and Billy Piper. We've gone through series 2 with David Tennant and Billy Piper. We're now almost at the end of series 3 with David Tennant and Freeman Regiment. I say almost because we have one of the spookiest episodes ever to come before we get to the finale. So we have now made it to episode 10, Blink. It is spooky season, and this is a spooky episode. Although it did come out in June when it first aired, which is slightly strange to think about now, considering it's such a synonymous episode with, like, I feel that a lot of people watch it around this time because it's that episode that scared everyone shitless when they were kids. It's considered to be one of the sort of best Doctor Who episodes, I feel, which is funny because it barely contains the Doctor and and his companion. This episode centers around Sally Sparrow, I guess, who's an investigative journalist or just someone that's curious, a photographer maybe. I don't.
Yeah,
think
I think
they really
she's.
say.
I think they said. I think the synopsis is like photographer Sally Sparrow.
Right.
Blah, blah,
Okay.
blah.
So she goes to this spooky old house for Bants, I guess. And she finds a message from the Doctor telling her to duck, but just before she's hitting the head with some stone. Luckily it misses, but there's some creepy statue outside. Hijinks ensue. She eventually goes and gets a friend. They come back and explore the house. Friend vanishes. These statues seem to be moving about. Turns out the statues are weeping angels, and they can only move when they're not being seen, which means, as the episode title suggests, you can't blink, else they will get rid of you. They'll send you back in time and feast off of your time energy or whatever it is. And then, yeah, basically, Sally and new friend Larry have to figure out what's going on and how are they going to stop these creepy statues from escaping and taking over the universe or whatever it is that aliens do. So what did you think of the episode?
I adored it. I think this is. I mean, I've always liked it, but I think this is the most I've ever enjoyed it. I don't know if it's because I'm watching loads of spooky stuff anyway, because it's like Halloween season, so I'm just in the mindset to be spooked.
Yeah.
But I love it. I think it's my favorite episode we've covered so far, I would say.
Interesting.
I think obviously the Weeping Angels are iconic and incredible and everything like that. I love the story kind of all piecing together. You work out how certain things happened and when. I think there's some emotional moments in there. Obviously it's quite creepy and spooky at times as well. But yeah, I had an absolute blast with it, considering the Dr. Martha are barely in it.
Yeah.
I think I would also rank it as one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever, which isn't an uncommon opinion. So that's nice. It's nice to not be in a minority regarding Doctor Who for once. But yeah, I think it's a phenomenal episode from start to finish. One of those rare treat of an episode, I think, when it's just everything really properly fell into place for me. I really struggle with negatives. My negatives don't even really bother me, but based on the format of this, I needed to come up with something. So yeah, I genuinely think it's one of the finest episodes of Doctor Who.
Understandable. I don't necessarily think of it that highly. I did enjoy it. I did really enjoy it. And I do really
like hater.
I was thinking when I was looking at my notes, I was like, but I do have some concerns with certain things we'll come on to. I don't think there's not really anything major, but me sort of trying to look for nitpicks, I picked too hard and unraveled some things. And I was like, I've thought too much about this now, and I've ruined.
You played yourself.
Yeah. But that being said, I can appreciate the episode. I do really like it, especially considering it is a Doctor and Companion light episode.
And considering what the last Doctor and Companion light episode was.
Yeah, and considering the track record we've had for these kind of things. I really appreciate the villain. I like how it is put together. I like the mystery that surrounds it. I like how they work it out. I like sort of how I will come on to it, but there's like the specific sequence that I really like how it plays out and how it works. And just everything sort of about this episode I do really like. And I probably will go into the negatives a bit too harder than I need to and that I mean to, but I do really enjoy this. But it, whatever. That's what happens. That's the nature.
What happens when it's written by Stephen Moffat.
Yeah, basically. If this was a Russell Davis, it'd be fine.
Exactly, yeah. It'd be 10 out of 10, best episode ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Do.
So we will get on with how we feel, and we always start with the positives. We do 3 of them before we do 3 negatives. So you can start first. I fear we may have similar positives, but you go ahead.
Okay. Shocking everyone. My favorite thing is the Weeping Angels.
Same.
Yeah, best boys. Statue boys, Blinky boys. I think the concept behind them is just so good, so clever. And it just provides a lot of creepy scares. And I think it's executed very well in the episode as well. Because along with the characters, you are kind of playing alongside them in a sense, and that when you can't see them is when they're also moving. I think it's just such a clever idea. The fact that they don't say a word, like even you'd have like generic monsters who go like Rah! And say, oh no, but they don't even do that because we can't see them speak or anything like that. The fact that that's the case and they still have so much of an impact and they don't need to speak, like the pre-title sequence, not a word spoken, but it's still creepy as hell with the wallpaper and shit. It all kind of bleeds into them just being a very rightfully iconic monster. I feel like just the look of them is very simplistic but very effective. Just like the simple changing of their facial expressions when they're attacking. Like, oh god,
where'd the sharp teeth come from? No.
Oh no. So yeah, the fact that it's an amalgamation, I think, of like a very simple design, a very clever concept, and I think the way that they're shot and directed, it all kind of blends together to create quite the pretty damn good monster. And you see it on lunch boxes and backpacks and action figures and frubes in years to come ever since this, and you can kind of see why they're so well realized, and definitely one of the best Doctor Who monsters I think we've had that isn't like one of the iconic classic series ones for sure. They continue to stand the test of time and I love them.
Yeah, this is probably the most memorable alien that's new since the Slovene. I would argue. But yeah, I just think it's such a simple concept, and it's what Doctor Who sort of does really well, is taking something that's so simple and so well known and being like, hey, what if it was deadly? It's like, oh, okay, especially with the montage at the end where it's like, hey, all of these statues that you see every single day, they're gonna get you. And it's like, oh fuck. I tried, they didn't, thanks. And yeah, it's just they're such, obviously with them being angels, you normally associate them with being innocent and the good guys and that kind of stuff. And then the fact that they have this terrifying nature inside of them where they will almost silently scream at you when they're trying to attack, and then not kill, well, as is mentioned in the episode, not necessarily kill you, but sort of let you live your life when you shouldn't be alive, which to some people and in some cases is the worst thing that can happen, because obviously a lot of people have friends, families, people they care about in the present day. So if they're sent back in time, it's kind of like, well, I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do.
Just go back and die of dysentery.
Basically. And yeah, I can't really add much else. Just the design of them. I think their appearance in this one is, for me, it's probably the best they've ever been. Just I think because of how silent they are and how uncomplicated they are. They can telepathically use a voice or whatever. You don't see them move at all, except in the shadows when the shadow moves, I guess, for the arm. That's the only indication we get of them moving. Everything else is literally, if you don't see them, that's when they'll move. And I think that really helps the episode sell its scares. Obviously the main one being when they're like, oh, none of us are looking at the angel, and they look up and it's there, and it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
made a terrible mistake.
Hello.
Yeah, and just everything about the Weeping Angels, I think, and the fact that it's set in the one house, pretty much, it's just incredible stuff that I really like, and I am glad that they are now a recurring villain and that they became so popular that they do come back. I do like the other episodes they're in. Hopefully, I'll like the episodes they're going to be in series 13. We'll see how they play off there. But
I do have to laugh when people are like, oh, the Weeping Angels again. I'm like, it's been 8 years, folks.
I know. Yeah, I think it's because they did come along like.
It's because the merch uses them and everything. That's why I think.
Yeah, and it's series 3, and then it was 5 and 7, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think people assumed they were overused in Moffat's era because there was 3 episodes with them in.
Yeah, and they're only in series 7 because Karen Gillan wanted them to kill her. So
yeah, which is fair enough. All right, yeah. I'll let that. I don't. And yeah, we haven't.
They've got to go.
Unless you've watched
Killed
Class.
By an iconic one.
Unless you've watched Class, we haven't seen them since.
It's still 8 years if you can't.
Well, I suppose
Well, close to.
But yeah. Either way, Weeping Angels are great. I think they're. I can't imagine this episode with any other villain really. Yes. In that case, what's your second point?
I've kind of merged them together because I think the characters are linked throughout the episode, really. But I've put Kerry Mulligan and Finlay Robertson as Sally and Larry. I think they're both very, very good at making likable characters. I think their chemistry is great together. The fact that this is peak, give us David Tennant as the Doctor, we love him.
Yeah.
And they do an episode where he's barely in it and they have to carry it. I think all that considered, they do a bloody good job at it. Because if you like really, really hated one or both of them, I think the episode would just be like, skip. But I find myself personally, anyway, really rooting for them. I think they continue to make the story interesting and engaging and emotional at times. I'm getting exposition stuff across when they need to. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be in their position. I would say that much. No. So the fact that they do such a good job, and a lot of people were kind of crying out for Sally to be a companion. She was asked to be a companion, as we'll get on to. I think that kind of says a lot about their performances, and the fact that Kerry Mulligan kind of went on to have a pretty damn successful career, starring alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in Great Gatsby and all sorts. After this episode kind of put him into the spotlight.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you in the Great Gatsby alongside Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But yeah, I think they're just very well written characters, very well brought to life. You're rooting for them. And considering it is a Doctor-like episode, I think it makes it all the more impressive that you really do get very engaged with what they're up to. So I very much enjoyed those 2 performances. And I think, lesser actors, it probably could have really sunk the episode. So
yeah, that's fair. My second point is Sally, not Sally and Larry, particularly Sally, because she is effectively our Doctor, I guess, in this episode. Larry's more of the companion role, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you find yourself, although part of me is like, Sally, you idiot, I would never go back there. After that, I would be like, so, goodbye, see you later, never happening again. And you could argue that she probably handles things a bit too well, in terms of, oh, my friend's gone forever. Oh well, okay, bye. See, okay, I'm gonna go laugh at your brother and not tell him you're dead. Bye. But other than that, I think that yeah, she is a great character. I could see her as a companion, even if it kind of wouldn't have made sense story-wise, I think, for her to continue. But yeah, she's great across the board, acting-wise and character-wise. You do feel on her side, and you don't want her to get got by the Weeping Angels. And the fact that she comes so close to that happening does help with the tension and the scares, I think, because you're invested in the characters, and therefore the scares and the spooky moments help much more.
Because they're not the Doctor and the companion, they could easily actually just get got.
Yeah. There's
it's
even
like
more
the
tension.
First 5 minutes of a horror movie, and you're like, you're following Drew Barrymore or something around. And you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like, oh, that's the famous person. They're not going to die. The fact that these are two sort of relative
Oh,
unknowns, they're not going to.
yeah.
But you know what I mean, and like it's when in a crime show when the famous person has a guest cameo, like, oh, they're the murderer because
Yeah.
they're the guest appearance. Um, yeah, but I mean, in this, yeah, they could have easily died, and you know, it wouldn't have been. I don't necessarily think bad for the story if they did, or at least one of them did. They got.
Interesting you should say that.
I mean, they got that out of the
We'll
way
talk
pretty
about
soon
my
with,
fun facts.
oh boy, with poor Kathy. Get wrecked, Kathy.
Oh, Kathy.
Shouldn't have
Oh,
hidden
Kathy.
behind that door.
Can't believe she didn't guess that those statues are actually living creatures that can send you back in
Fool.
time.
For God's
Silly,
sake.
silly
Can't believe
Kathy.
she didn't even notice it was there when she was looking at the door. Like you would surely you would sense the presence all of a sudden of this big statue in the room. But all right, okay, enjoy Hull.
Yeah, that's right. Keep victim blaming. That's fine.
Yes, I will.
Oh.
So what is your, I guess, third and well, in theory, final positive?
Yeah, in theory is correct. I put the direction by Hetty MacDonald.
Mhm.
I think in particular the Weeping Angels are shot very, very well. Just like little bits like when the door closes behind one, now it's suddenly like reaching out for her, and the little movements like that. I think they could have gone really ham on like doing close-ups of people's faces and shit, and I think they only do it when the story properly requires it.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of reservation. The shot of the angels kind of shaking the TARDIS about, I think that looks really cool as well. And them kind of emerging, getting closer and closer through the flickering lights. The fact that she had to work with pre-recorded footage of David Tennant and still get like really good performances out of like Carey Mulligan, for example. I think that shows a lot of good kind of interaction with the actors to kind of get the best that she can out of that situation. There's a really great shot of when Billy's just been sent back in time and the Doctor and Martha walk up to him. Behind them, it looks like the TARDIS doors. And like how they frame the shot, I was like, oh, that's very cool because they're looking for their TARDIS. So yeah, I think there's some really great kind of shots put together in that. She does a really fantastic job. We do talk about it in my fun facts as well, but first director that's a woman in the Arrive series with this episode. First female Doctor Who director in 22 years. And she also comes back to do Magician's Apprentice and Witches of Familiar, which I also think look very, very good. So I'd like to see her come back for even more. But I think she does a great job in this episode, especially because she's probably like, yes, I got Doctor Who. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, so David Tennant's not going to be around?
Yeah.
Here's some footage we filmed of him. There you go. It's like, oh, but she still does, a really great job with it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And one of my highlights is when Sally sees the TARDIS key and she moves across and the Weeping Angels are at one and then they move across and they've taken their hands down or whatever and they're going to get her. And then she moves back across and then they're like, oh, for fuck's sake, how many they've done that? But yeah, I do appreciate the subtleness, and it makes you think every time that something's going to be in the background. It's like that the scariest scene in it when he's in the library and the librarian is like creepily staring at him. You're always looking for that in the background of a lot.
I
of
hate that
shots.
so much, yeah.
And that is the worst bit of it. Like, forget the creepy clown; it's the scary librarian looking over his shoulder. And you keep expecting that kind of thing to happen in this episode, which again helps with the tension. I think that she really nailed the tone of the episode. And again, with Doctor Who, as we've seen before, sometimes an actor or a director can think it's one tone when really it should have been another. Looking at you, Peter Kay is the Absorbaloff.
Oh, Peter.
And it really works, I think, throughout this, which is great. You always want to see that. My sort of third positive is I'm not entirely sure how to phrase it, but I'm going to say the conversation across time. So right. It's the scene where they're back in the house and they've got the Easter eggs all in one long video and they're chatting to the Doctor, via the video, not really talking, but talking. I think that's very cleverly done. I think it's believable. It makes sense how it all works, and they tie it up nicely at the end with how he does get the script. And just as you mentioned, like the fact they had to go off, both David Tennant and they both had to not really act to anything in this point, because one's a pre-recorded screen, and obviously David Tennant is just trying to get the tone as he is as the Doctor from a script. So I think it really works, and credit to both the actors and the writer and Stephen Moffat for
You feeling all right?
for making it work and for actually making it believable and make sense. Which obviously a criticism of his that gets thrown at him a lot is that a lot of his stories are too convoluted and too confusing for your average watcher. Which I mean, if you're coming into it specifically series 6, I can understand why you might be confused, but other than that, if you're a new viewer, don't start in the middle of a show, I guess. That's
what I always say when so they're like, oh, this is a good jumping on point and stuff. I'm like, if I recommend Doctor Who to someone, I would say start with Chris Ferguson or not bother.
I know.
So
and at the very least start at the start of that Doctor's run. Don't just jump in the middle of the series.
Yeah, or go into it being like, there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're not aware of and catchphrases or stuff that you're not going to be aware of. And then you're just like, oh, I don't understand it. It's bad.
Yeah. Agreed. But we will come on to that whenever we get to series 6. We've got three
2024
left. But I think that the conversation seems really well done. I like the interactions that Larry also chips in with some quips. Although, and as I mentioned last week, I do regret the phrase timey-wimey. I feel that's been overplayed since this episode, which I think is why it makes me cringe now. But looking at this episode by itself, it's fine. However, when it's overused, I think it now, in hindsight, you're like, can't believe that. But it's fine. I can get over it. No. So what are your other positives then?
Let's have a look. The ending with tying it to the real world, being like, there are all these real statues, folks. You're in danger. I think that's great. And the Doctor being like, good luck, bitches. And then the close-up of his eyes at the end. I think that's a really fun way of tying it to real world situations. And then also the scene with old Billy in the hospital. It makes me sad. I think the actor does a great job with that. The kind of throwback to an earlier line where he's like, oh, life is short and you were hot. And then when he's old, he's like, life is long and you were hot. It's like, oh, because it's just like, life's beating this poor man down because he spent his whole life waiting to see this woman again, knowing that he was going to die when he does.
Every time there's rain, you must be like, oh no, is it now?
Is this the same rain? I can't remember. I think Billy's story as a whole, is actually very well executed and well done for the most part. But that whole sequence, I think, is a really great performance from the guy who plays old Billy and Kerry Mulligan as well. I like that they actually did show properly on the screen, not just through a letter or whatever, what the Weeping Angels can do to people. I think that was a really lovely little sequence as well. I love that scene.
Yeah, and I think it's fair because we said last week that we'd look at the Billy situation and see if it felt wrong. I didn't feel that this was in any way sort of unwarranted, I guess.
No, it was nowhere near as bad as I feared it was going to be.
Yes, and I compared it to that scene in How I Met Your Mother where Marshall is serenading Lily, and if the woman finds the guy attractive, it's seen as adorable, cute, kind of thing. But if they don't find them attractive, it's creepy. And I feel it falls into that. Sally finds him attractive, therefore his advances are not unwarranted or creepy, which obviously, that happens in every walk of life, which is fine. And as you mentioned, he's off the clock, so it's not like he's using his position.
I think he's a bit like, oh, buddy, calm down. But I'll also get onto that in a sense. But, nowhere near as bad as I feared.
No, which I think is fair enough. And he does get zapped back almost immediately after.
Yeah, he's instantly punished. For
being horny. No, sent back.
No horny.
Boo, leave, be gone. And I do think that the hospital scene is a really nice moment in what is quite a spooky and sci-fi show. Obviously having that sort of emotional moment where the audience can sit back and sort of bask in the impact of what this villain can do, kind of see what happens, and it does make you get invested even more. And it's like, oh shit, I don't want Sally to end up like that at the end.
Because he's, as far as his family and friends that he would have in the present day are concerned, he's still just at work because it's the same day.
Yeah.
But in reality, no one's there for his last day alive in hospital apart from the woman he met like 10 minutes before.
Yeah. Although he doesn't he? He does get married, doesn't he?
He does get married and stuff, but like, I'm talking like his family in present day and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
They're never going to know what happened to him. It's just like,
yeah, which is what is also quite creepy about the Weeping Angels. That's what we don't really get with Kathy, because they even say the only relative that is left of Kathy's is Larry, because their parents are dead and he gets involved. So you don't see that impact there. And I think you see that impact of the Weeping Angels more in Angels Take Manhattan, I think, than you do in this one. But yeah, I do agree. It is an excellent scene. In terms of my other things, I really do like the whole Easter eggs in a DVD concept. I think that is very well done. It's very of its time, which has meant it's baited it quite a bit, because people don't tend to watch bonus features on DVDs anymore. Well, we discussed this. A lot of your
friends. Are you really saying that to Doctor Who fans?
a lot of your friends still buy DVDs, but a lot of mine don't tend to anymore. So I think
I do see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
But maybe in another 10 years, I would say that's dated it, when DVDs definitely aren't a thing. They are still very much a thing. And I feel like something like Bad Wolf, it's set in the far future. All the technology is from the far future. And then they have those dated TV shows that get cancelled 2 years after that year. Anyway,
maybe
that I can say is dated for its time. But because this is set during present day at the time,
it's like
I can kind of look past it.
It's like in Red Dwarf, where in the earlier series they all use videotapes, but then when the series is like, when they're making new ones, they have to justify why they all look like videotapes, because we all use DVDs and Blu-rays now. But yeah, I mean, I do agree, and like I said, I really like the Easter egg concept. It does make you, because that is a real thing. Sometimes if you did certain things on the menu, if you went to certain places, you would get additional features. I don't think I never went looking for any. I never found any on anything, and they conveniently never put in what DVDs they are, I guess, for a rights issue, or so that they don't spark a rise in people buying, I don't know, Speed. Who knows?
Well, I've got some fun facts about that.
Interesting.
Basically, they just made films up.
Yeah, which is what I think would make sense. But I do like that concept, and sort of as mentioned previously, I really do like the spooks in this, the cliche jump scares, which although I know are coming, still a bit like, oh Christ, they're still creepy, because it's still a creepy episode. But obviously it also makes me think of when I first watched it, where you were literally jumping out of your seat like, oh my God, please don't, which is the case with a lot of horror films. Once you've seen it once and you know where the jump scares are, you're less likely to be jump scared. Because and I don't think these are as harsh as proper horror films as jump scares. These seem they're quite slow into the jump scares rather than an immediate thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, have you got any other notes you want to hit on before we reach the negatives?
I think that's everything, I believe.
Oh boy, right. Okay. Now, we'll get into some of the negatives.
Need a drink. What have I got? I might just have to down some hand sanitizer to get through this.
I'll go first, because I feel that I've got two, but the first one is quite extensive, I guess.
Okay.
There's a lot of convenience and why don't they just type thing.
Yeah.
So for example, I've got, at the start, why do they throw the rock at Sally and not just zap her back? If that's how they eat, why they've already got the TARDIS key. I know later in the episode they probably can't zap her because they need to get the key back, but at that point they have the key, so just send her back and then you don't have to worry about it. So that's something. And I don't they could explain it easily by saying, oh, they just wanted her to disappear, they just wanted her to leave, or they just tried to get her involved so she leads them to the TARDIS. There could have been a line like that, but I don't know how you'd get that in with the angels not talking. But I feel that there's a little piece missing there. Also at the end, they're not really looking at each other. The front two weeping angels are looking at each other, and then one's looking at one and one's looking there. So unless it's peripheral vision as well and not like direct looking, the two at the back aren't being looked at, if you get what I mean. Which I thought was a strange like it's so easy just to have them looking at each other, that so then no one have thought, are they really looking at each other? I think was a bit of an oversight.
Mhm.
But again, it could be peripheral vision. They're all in each other's eyesight either way. Like, although I'm looking at you, I can still see things walking past the window. So
What?
oh no, I'm on the top floor.
Windows in front of me in this room. What?
Yeah.
No.
But like, and maybe it's like that, which I guess is fine. I can accept that in my head canon. And although you mentioned, and now I can see why they made Billy like wait so that they show the impact. In theory, I'm like, why don't you just send Sally a letter explaining everything? You're in the past. Just do it Back to the Future style, like Kathy did, and say, here, keep hold of this and deliver it at this time. I think also would have been sense. It's just, there's a little bit, you have to suspend yourself and think, they didn't think of that first. They thought of this first. They went with that, you know. It's fine. It doesn't ruin the episode for me. It's just things that if I think of it too much, I'm like, but there are other ways they could have done this.
Yeah, I guess with Billy, right, he just got her number, so he's like, oh, I've got easy access to her on that very day. I can just do that anyway instead of faffing around sending her there.
Maybe, but then obviously, you also feel like the Doctor made him do that rather than him going, oh, I know what we can do. But
yeah,
it
works.
Yeah, it does work. And yeah, it's just, it's fine. I get it. I can look past all of it. I can look past all of it. It's just a case of,
can you?
I feel that they had the idea of what they wanted to do for the plot, and then they sort of molded the script around it.
Yeah, I agree.
And that leaves sort of some threads hanging. But it's my fault for thinking too much about it more than that. Because if you watch this episode, you don't then immediately think, oh, but why didn't they just do this? Or, even if you do, you're still enjoying the episode more. It's only because we have to come up with the negatives that I was like, hang on a sec, this isn't right, and this isn't right. And then also, like, why does the TARDIS leave them behind? Just take them with them. Yeah. I guess they just need to be left so they can be like, oh, they're stuck and trapped like this now. To explain.
Well, I may have a fun fact about that.
Nice, so. Excellent. But yeah, other than these sort of literal nitpicks, I'm fine with the episode. So what is your first negative?
I do feel like the Angel's power set can slightly change for whatever the plot requires. Sometimes like super quick, and they probably could just like snatch the kid out of a pocket or something.
Yeah.
Other times they just like watch her. So it is what it is. They need a 40-minute episode out of it.
Yeah.
And it's near the end of the episode. We can turn off lights now. Let's point at them and turn off the light. Little things like that. That was kind of my first. That's my proper issue. If I had to name one, anything else I'm kind of fine with. But yeah, that was like my first edition.
That's fair. And I think like the lighting issue, I think can be written away with just they weren't in the dark before.
Yeah.
They didn't need to use the darkness because they were in a house where like most of the light was coming in, but in the basement where there's only one light bulb. I can forgive that, especially because it like comes back. This isn't just a one-off thing they see. But I do agree that it's like they spend a lot of time looking at each other going, you're not looking at the angel. You're not looking at the angel. It's like, you could both be dead by now. Like, one of you turn around. And then even like, oh, they're so fast. Yeah, Larry can still go, whoop. Oh, and they're like, oh, I'm still alive. It's fine. Got you this close, but I got you. And then I'll come on to that later. But yeah, I do agree that the power set can sometimes be, a bit strange. Yeah. My next one. I don't know what I don't want. Overbearing music. I think sometimes the music is a bit loud, is a bit too much. Not necessarily when there's the jump scares where they do the type thing, but sometimes I just noticed it too much. I think this episode, which I don't think I've had before. A lot of I do like most of the score in this, but sometimes it just gets too much. I think in quite a subtle episode, it can be a bit overbearing. Which is only something I've noticed this time around. Like the 20th time watching it or whatever it is. So it's fine. But yeah, just one of them things, really. Nothing.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't ruin the episode for me. It was just something I noticed more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your second?
Yes, and again, it's not my first one was the only one that properly bothered me, but I was just thinking like it really is almost too perfect, the timing with like the Doctor and Sally's conversation, the pre-record and stuff, considering she also then goes and talks to Larry for a couple of times, and he has his say, and yet the Doctor still then waits and can talk when he may not necessarily have had Larry's side of the conversation all in there and stuff. So it's kind of, you know, if this was properly a real thing, I think there probably would have been a bit of an overlap, but I understand it's a TV show, which is why it doesn't really bother me. So that was just something that I noticed this time around.
Yeah, I guess as well, you could say that Larry wrote in his words, his pauses, which good memory to write everything down.
Yeah.
It, you know, it is what it is. It's going to be a bit, it's going to seem like it's scripted because technically it is scripted.
Indeed.
Both in the episode and in the show in general, because it's a show.
Yeah.
And not reality TV, thankfully.
Indeed.
Oh, could you imagine? Yeah, that's fair enough. My sort of last one was very a slightly one where they're like, "Oh, you can't kill a stone." It's like, you can kill a stone. You just break it. You break it apart. You get a hammer.
If a stone's not alive, can you kill it?
But what? Yeah, because you would just grind. I mean, I don't know what would happen if you did grind up a weeping angel. And that's not been explored because I think they have the same questions that we do: is what would happen if you grind up a weeping angel?
Yeah, you can destroy a stone, but you can't kill a stone.
If you grinded it up and it was used in bricks, would the house then be a weeping angel? Like, you know, that's interesting stuff that I want to know.
That's a good idea. Write that down.
Write that down.
I bet that's going to be in series 13.
But that'll be 13 now, yeah. But I mean, that line's always like, "Oh, you can't kill a stone." It's like, well, I mean, you can destroy a stone. 100% you can destroy stone. But yeah, whatever, it's fine.
It's not it's just killing it.
Yeah, which is fine. But then, you know, in theory, you don't kill a tree. But
yeah, you can destroy the form that they're taking when they're stone.
Well, that's the other thing.
True form, so you can't kill that.
So who knows what their true form is?
As soon as you look away, they'll just become their true selves again. They're fine. I would assume.
Yeah. Let's assume that if they're just grinded down into dust, that then you blink and then they can just reassemble themselves, I guess is what we're supposed to assume. But then why are weeping angels sometimes cracked? I guess then you could say, oh, it's because they're not strong enough. It's fine. Whatever. It's just a small thing. Like I said, I had to.
They're low on energy when they're cracked in the 5 and stuff. So
Exactly. But it's just always a line where I've been like, well, you could get rid of them, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. What was your third negative?
Some of the depiction of romance I could have done without it, to be honest. I do feel like Sally and Larry, I didn't need them to get together at the end, to be honest. I think it is just there in the epilogue. I'm like, sure, fine, okay.
And it's stitched in the mobile game.
Yeah, well, it was never going to last, was it?
No.
So I didn't really need that. Billy wasn't too bad, but you know, he's still kind of full on at times, like, can't help me. And then they did kind of romanticize Ben just stalking Kathy through field after field. You're going to stop following me?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
That's the weirder one, but that was 1920s.
We got married. First person I met, I married him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. Shopped around a bit then.
There's a few things like that. Like, couldn't you just said you met someone nice who wasn't stalking you through some fields?
Yeah.
So again, nothing that really bothers me. But I needed to come up with something, and I think there was a few moments like that, and a bit like, it's not quite as bad as Alexander Armstrong following Claire Skin at home every day until she married him in Dr. Widow in the Wardrobe. But it's of that kind of
It's the whole, if you find them attractive, it's a cute romantic thing that's being done. If you find them creepy, it's not. Which I urge you, just go onto just YouTube, search How I Met Your Mother cute or creepy, and it'll come up as a clip and it'll make complete sense, and you'll go, yes, I know what it means. Which is fair enough. I don't really have any other negatives. Do you?
No.
Nice. So what other
Nice.
notes? What other notes? Oh yeah, thank God Sally kept pulling the wallpaper off every time he got to the end of the sentence. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, Sally Sparrow. Okay, leaves. All right, I'm out. Bye.
Yeah. There's literally like a plot point about that in Haunting of Hill House where they don't actually, it turns out they didn't actually pull the
Yeah,
wallpaper back far enough. So
amazing.
instead of saying come home, it says welcome home. You're like, oh no, I'm already here.
Which is, yeah, it's fine. Also, how has Sally never met Larry before? If they're supposed to be like close friends, her and Kathy, how has she never met her brother, who apparently they live together?
Because he's the family embarrassment.
Yeah, clearly. I was like, there's a nice ITV dig where it's like
yeah, I saw that.
Barrow Nightingale.
Barrow Nightingale.
Oh,
That's so ITV. I know. I mean, it is absolutely.
It definitely is. Yeah. I like there was it's like, oh, it's sad. It's like, oh, that's happy for deep people. I was like, oh, that's a goth.
Oh my
What
god,
a goth is. Yeah. Yeah, big F for Kathy. I said, do you think she's in Hull? Because I don't think they say Hull enough times.
Stop saying Hull.
But yeah, the small movements of the angels, I think, are the worst. Just the subtle changes for them. Unfortunately, the CGI was a bit bad when they were on the church opposite the police station.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, true. Come on. They looked better when they were on the actual police station wall, but when they were across, it's like, oh, that's not the best. Also, how can the angels just move the TARDIS? Isn't the TARDIS supposed to be sent? It's a common theme that comes up. Isn't the TARDIS supposed to be sentient? Doesn't it have protection things? Can it? Whatever, doesn't have shielding, which is a thing that often comes up in Doctor Who when sometimes it's like, oh, it's fine, it can protect itself, and then other times it'll get lifted by a crane. So
yeah,
who knows?
The Daleks in Journey's End might drop it into some fire.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, that's fine. But at least that does the TARDIS get itself out, or does Donna do that?
The clone Doctor does it when he merges and presses the switch.
Because I knew it got out somehow, but I couldn't remember if it was the TARDIS itself.
It apparently has these shields, and yet it is getting burnt up by the thing.
Yeah,
done, so.
And it's like, oh, but it also knows not
the
to.
The TARDIS has been through some shit.
Yeah, but then yeah, it's like, oh, Clara's not coming in. I don't like you. You're not coming in. It's like, so how can you stop that from happening, but then not stop yourself get taken away by some angels? Sure. Yeah, I also thought Billy died quite young. In theory, he's probably 60, 70-ish, I think, when he dies. That's assuming he's about 20 odd when he gets taken. And it's 40 odd years, isn't it? Ish. 69 to 2009.
Probably didn't get his vaccinations.
Probably. Well, speaking of vaccinations, I did do politics in my Doctor Who, because it's like a look to the left. He's like, oh, I think that's political messaging. I was like, oh, politics. Yeah, and always. Also, you said last week that you thought that this broke the timeline sort of continuity of where we are at the minute. In theory, it doesn't, because although Sally and Larry deal with the angels in 2007, they don't meet the Doctor and Martha until a year later in 2008. So in theory, there's no...
It's all okay.
Yeah, in theory, the Doctor and Martha are still in 2008 present day. 2007 isn't present day for this. I assume they probably just caught that in post-production. That's why they added in the 1 year later line rather than anything else.
And it's interesting, because I have a fun fact about the 1 year later line.
Boy. Excellent.
So yeah, I bet that was an addition to kind of save continuity, maybe.
Oh, I'm placing my bets now. Yes. Also, it's like the Doctor's like, oh, I don't know why you stopped talking, but I can only assume. And it's like, why did Larry put in his little, or either of them put in their notes to the Doctor, yeah, we stopped talking because the angels started to attack? Like, surely that's some crucial information that you would leave.
Or was it in the scripts that he says, well, that's all I have left, so I only assume stop talking. Maybe that's actually one of his given lines.
But yeah, but that's
to make it dramatic.
Oh, but maybe they did it themselves. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. I have some, like I said, some nitpicks, but overall, it was a really good episode, and I do feel harsh for critiquing it because
you should do.
It's because it's unnecessary. I also did put it as like, I was like, oh, it's a lovely happy ending when they were like together, and the Doctor was like, oh, that's happy, and then I completely forgetting about the montage. So I've gone lovely happy ending until panic, they're everywhere.
Panic at the Disco.
Oh no. And also a shout out to the Doctor's outfit at the end. I quite like that style.
I want to shout out Martha's outfit at the end. It's a crime we didn't get an episode with that.
I really want that episode, or at least that to be like a short story type thing.
It is a short story.
Is it? Excellent.
It was on the Doctor's website years ago.
Website.
I don't know if it's still.
Gone.
I don't know if it's still there. It's rebooted. It's gone as many times since then.
It definitely won't be. It's gone like the Dalek game.
Someone would have posted it online.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. With that being said, let's do some fun facts.
Fun facts. I've got lots of fun facts.
Right. Nice.
So this is the second Doctor Light story of the revival, coming out of a need for double banking in the production schedule, aka filming 2 episodes at once. The first was obviously Love and Monsters, and we know how that went. Yeah, the best one. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this before with the Dalek 2-parter, but Stephen Moffat offered to throw himself onto the grenade of the unpopular episode, quote unquote, after feeling guilty he couldn't write the Dalek 2-parter earlier in the series. Because of its late submission, Blink was the quickest script Moffat had ever written, going from a second draft with no notes to meetings and then going into production only 10 days later. So that's fun. Not at all stressful, I'm sure. In Doctor Who magazine's 50 Years poll, Blink was voted the second best story of all time, just after The Day of the Doctor. The previous poll in 2009, it also came second to The Caves of Androzani, the Fifth Doctor's final story. The plot of this episode was based upon Moffat's short story he wrote for Doctor Who's 2006 annual, What I Did on My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow. In the story, Sally, a little girl, writes her school assignment about being contacted by the Ninth Doctor through photos and videos to help him get the TARDIS back. The Weeping Angels weren't in the story and were invented for this episode. The list of DVDs were actually fake titles created for the episode, complete with covers and posters. This is the first episode directed by a woman in 22 years on Doctor Who. The previous story being Mark of the Rani, Sylvester McCoy's story. For unknown reasons, some later broadcasts and releases of the episode omit the 1 year later graphic from the epilogue scene. Oh. So continuity is broken. I don't know why they'd bother taking it out, but there you go. It's a strange thing. Billy's jacket has a patch on it of a sparrow.
That's nice.
You get it. The original title was Sally Sparrow and the Weeping Angels, but Russ T. Davies didn't like it. Moffat suggested Blink, which Russ T. Davies loved, so they went with that. The angels were actually portrayed by actresses covered in makeup and prosthetics. A special digital effect was used to freeze the actresses in place, so if they involuntarily moved, it wouldn't be noticed on screen. Originally, the episode had a different, much darker ending. Sally would have given the folder to the Doctor, then returned to the shop to find an angel inside. Larry would soon realise Sally was missing and then notices her on a painting on the wall in the shop.
Oh.
So that's fun. Lovely. Yes. Billy's comments that the police box has a dummy phone and the windows are the wrong size is a reference to the TARDIS props being scaled down from the real police boxes because they should be a lot bigger. A deleted part of the pre-credit sequence saw Sally tear the wallpaper and then a cliche horror music played, revealing it to be Sally's ringtone and Kathy was just calling her phone. Which I quite like, but I'm kind of glad they got rid of it.
Yeah.
The angels were inspired by the children's games statues and an angel statue that Moffat saw in a graveyard on a family holiday. So again, fun. Kerry Mulligan was offered the chance to stay on as a companion, but she declined. So sad. Yeah. For the scene where the Doctor and Sally talk via the DVD extra, Moffat was writing a conversation for it, and then he removed Sally's lines and then gave the script to David Tennant. So his side of the conversation he could record without any context. Moffat thought that would make the performance much more convincing because he didn't actually know what was being said. So fair enough. To create the effect of the angels rocking the TARDIS, Kerry Mulligan and Finlay Robertson threw themselves around the set. The camera operator just shook the camera in the opposite direction, so they weren't actually being filmed or anything.
That's very Star Trek. It's very flashing. Yeah,
they'd go one way and then the camera just went the other. So it's better than just potentially hurting them, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess better than hurting
them. Fine,
could commit to it, but fine. Initially, Sally was going to be pregnant in the epilogue, but Moffat thought it was more effective to delay Sally and Larry's romance until after she met the Doctor. Obviously, and it doesn't work out anyway. Originally, The same actor was going to play young and older versions of Billy, but they decided to cast separately in case the makeup didn't look real enough. The two actors actually had played father and son in Sea of Souls in 2004.
Oh, there you go then.
Jolly good casting there. The first draft had the TARDIS actually take Sally and Larry with them to 1969, where they met the Doctor and Martha. The Doctor would have revealed that he got the information he needed from a book that Sally would go on to write about her whole ordeal. And then finally, a scene is cut from the epilogue that explains that Larry still regularly checks that the angels are still petrified in the basement.
I mean, he does.
Yeah.
Because after this story, I guess, sometime after, recently released is what's it called?
The Lonely Assassins.
That's it. The Lonely Assassins mobile game, which you can also now buy on consoles, it's effectively a direct sequel to Blink. It is quite good. I would urge people to go and play it for themselves. Liam obviously has a playthrough on his channel as well, which I'm sure you can go and find.
If you want to see the complete true ending, because I found all the TARDIS references and stuff.
I missed one. TARDIS reference. It tells you at the end. It's like, fuck. Oh no.
That's when you get a post-credit scene then.
I have to play it again then. God's sake. All right. Fine. Or I just watch I'll watch your video. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just do that.
It just makes it a nicer ending.
Basically. Yeah. But I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point. We just need to pick a time of when we're going to do that. Which is fine. So that leaves one last thing. Ratings.
Well,
out of 10, what are you giving it?
Now, I know it's not a perfect episode. There are a few things wrong. That being said, I'm giving it a 10.
Oh, is that the first 10 we've ever had?
It's my first 10. I think it is the first 10 we've ever had.
I don't think Boomtown was a 10.
No, I think you gave it 9.5, I think. But yeah, I was surprised at just how much I enjoyed it this time.
Yeah.
I knew it was really good, and I know I really liked it. But yeah, I really wouldn't change a thing about it, I don't think, which is not often something that I would say. Yeah. So yeah, it's such kind of a classic of its time. And I think it is kind of worthy of that. I can kind of see why, they ended up having Moffat as showrunner after that, and why the Weeping Angels are such an iconic villain and stuff. I do think it truly succeeds in what it's doing. It makes you think like, Love and Monsters could have been really, really great. But yeah, especially when you
the blue Peter kid do it. Oh
yeah, can't believe this. But yeah, I think especially because like how quickly they kind of had to put it together and stuff. And I just find it hilarious that he did it as punishment for not being able to write the Dalek 2 part. He was busy writing something else. I just find it hilarious that it ended up being one of the most popular episodes of the entire show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really love it. So I think it's worthy of my first 10. I don't hand them out lightly, as we well know.
No,
this is the third one, my first one, and we've been doing this for 10 months.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Fair enough. I understand. For myself, I'm going to give it a 9 overall, mainly because I think I nitpicked it too much and it brought my score down. Just because there are some things where it's like, oh, hang on a sec, and the fact that that it was effectively written and put together within like 2 weeks, you can kind of see where those perhaps if there was more time they could have tidied it up a little bit. So
the fact that you only had time to write 2 drafts where you normally have like 5 or 6, it's a bit like
exactly. And so I think if it had a little bit more time, it probably would have been for me a 10. But I mean, a 9 is pretty damn close to a 10, and it's definitely that's the highest score I think I've given this series, which I think is also fair enough. And we'll see if the next few episodes come near that, which I hope they will.
If anything will for me, it's the next one.
oh dear. Well, next one is Utopia, which is the unofficial start of the 3-part finale, I guess.
I think it's just part 1, isn't it?
I guess they're not. It's not like it's so and so part 1 and so part 2. No. So it's just Utopia and then Sound of Drums and then Last of the Timeless.
Yeah, and on to be continued, I think so.
Yeah, I assume so at least.
I count it as a 3-parter anyway.
Yeah, oh, definitely. So the start of the Doctor Who's first 3-parter of the revived series officially.
Yes.
This story sees the Doctor and Martha. They're back from their quick trip to 1969, and they're refueling in Cardiff because that's the easy location.
Remember, that is a thing now.
It is easy to film in
We've
Cardiff.
forgotten about that for 2 years, but let's do it again.
Let's go back to Cardiff. So they're refueling there, and best boy Captain Jack is like, "Holy shit, they're back!"
Wait
guys,
a minute.
wait, please wait.
Tortured Series 1 has just wrapped up.
Yeah.
He's seen the bubbly hand, and he's like, "Oh shit, I've got to
He's
go."
like, "Wait a minute, a hand! My planet needs me," and he leaves. Yeah, he comes running down the road to the Doctor. The Doctor's like, "Fuck this," and tries to leave him behind.
Oh,
Which
God, no.
I'm like,
Not
"Oh,
him again.
God's
Not that
sake,
guy. No.
not this guy. I left him for dead. God damn it!" Leaves. Jack catches up. He clings on. Takes him to the year like 1 billion or something. I don't know what it is. Effectively, the end
trillion or something.
the end of the universe, or whatever it is. Where they meet lovely old Professor Yana and Chantho,
what a lovely man.
and the last remnants of humankind trying to escape to Utopia, which I'm sure they will do.
Well, they do, unfortunately.
yeah, they get there, but then things aren't as good. But we don't see that, sadly. So, what are your memories, recollections, feelings about Utopia before we head into it?
Easily my favorite of the 3-parter by a long shot.
Okay.
Watching it live was quite an experience because my dad got very excited that it was the Master, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
But we go on to find out. So there you go. But yeah, I was just expecting like a standard run-of-the-mill episode. I like how it's marketed. So the next time travel stuff, it just feels like another kind of fun adventure. I should have known really because Captain Jack was back in it, and he wasn't just going to be around for like a standard old adventure.
Yeah.
No. But I didn't. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. I love Derek Jacobi in it. I'm glad he's getting more to do as his Master now.
Yeah.
Because we really don't get much of it on screen. But yeah, I'm excited to see what I think of it now. Because I haven't watched it in yonks. But now we've had the whole series kind of building up to it again, like the re-emergence of the Watch and shit, I think is a real like, oh, damn moment.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, they actually do flashback to it anyway, so you don't really need to watch it.
Because the audience is stupid and they need to be spoon-fed the information.
Exactly, right? Because I might have just started watching halfway through this series.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to them. Thank God there's flashbacks.
Can't believe they referenced previous episodes of Doctor Who. What an awful
Unbelievable.
No, the show's really gone down.
Can't believe they're changing canon with introducing the Master again. God's sake.
Can't believe this. Like, ugh.
Unbelievable.
What's he doing? No, he died. What's going on? He was a snake. What's going on?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But yeah, I remember really, really liking it. So hopefully it kind of holds up and really escalates things. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's fair. I think for a long time, this 3-parter and this finale of Series 3 was my favourite. So I'm excited to see if it still holds up like that. I know when we do get to the final bit of the finale, people have some probably valid criticisms of how it's resolved, but I think I like all 3 episodes a lot. I think Sound of Drums of the 3 is probably more up there for me than Utopia. But that being said, I do like Utopia. I think I like the setting, although I think a lot of it is sort of stood around and talking more than anything. But they're good and they're nice character moments.
Talking?
Especially with,
I know Doctor Who.
They're nice because obviously we've had Jack gets reintroduced, so we get to see this different dynamic between him and the Doctor again. We get to see, I think, more. The Doctor feels more comfortable sharing how he feels with Jack because they have the connection of Rose, who's obviously going to come back and play a part in not.
Oh,
come
she
back,
was blonde.
Come back.
What a surprise!
You two, we're at the end. Yeah, that one. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think Jack being part of this trio adds to different dynamic, which we're going to see across the episodes. Hopefully, he doesn't overshadow Martha too much because she is the companion of the series. But we'll see how it goes. Either way, I'm excited for it. I remember liking all 3 of these a lot, so hopefully I don't 42 myself.
I'm hoping to be very pleasantly surprised because after Utopia, I'm not really a big fan.
Yeah.
So I have plenty of room to be very surprised. So I'm hoping it's an anti-42 situation. Basically.
Yeah, hopefully. at least Sound of Drums definitely has my favorite behind the scenes moment, which I'm sure we'll come on to when it happens. But yeah, I think I'm excited for the finale. It's mad that we're pretty much at the end of series 3 now. Feels like we only started this yesterday. We were still in lockdown when this started, and now there's going to be a new series of Doctor Who soon. So
this very month,
I know. Speaking of which,
about like 3 weeks or whatever it is,
literally. Obviously, these reviews will continue while the new series is on. Myself and Liam will react to the series 13 as it comes out, and we'll also do deeper dives, I believe, on potentially on this channel, potentially on yours. We'll figure that out.
We'll do it on yours.
Oh, there you go. You hear it here first.
I've decided.
Will work for me. So yeah, alongside these, there will be series 13 videos. Haven't quite figured out the timing. Obviously, with those episodes being on a Sunday, we might have to shift some things around. So maybe it's these reviews are on the Friday, Saturday, and the other ones on a Monday, Tuesday. Either way, it'll happen. And although the series is coming out in literally a few weeks, 31st of October, we still haven't really had a second trailer yet. So that could again come out at any point. So we could be back sooner to talk about series 13, which will only ramp up. And in literally 2 days' time, the Edge of Reality game is coming out for all consoles. So I also imagine we will at least be talking about that. Liam might play some of it. Who knows?
I can capture some footage of it for a video or something. Can't I?
Yeah. So either way, we'll find some way of getting that to you, because it's something that obviously we're both gonna play probably as soon as it comes out.
I've been saving a voucher I got for my birthday to buy.
Oh, check you out. Unfortunately, it's just before my birthday and I'm not waiting. So buy it now.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Thank God for the recent acquisition of a credit card.
Hooray.
But yes, that is it. We will be back then, hopefully next midweek for Utopia. If there's series 13 news before then, which might be the case, because 2 weeks obviously on Sunday, might get a trailer, which is normally how BBC do shows. Could be back before then, but either way, we will definitely see you again for another video, unless something tragic happens. Bye.
Bye. Goodbye forever, maybe.